Match preview. Tottenham against Fulham, a team that we always seem to struggle against, at times. Even when we win, you're in a fight when you're coming up against Fulham, particularly Marco Silva's Fulham as well. Like, Marco Silva's, he's a good manager, he's a very clever manager, and he comes up with these tactical plans, and he always makes his Fulham side, fairly hard to beat. I know they've taken a lot of L's on the road this season, but particularly last season and the year before, I felt like whenever they come up against a big side, the big side always, whether they get the win or not, they always struggle to get the win.
Yeah, especially, I think more so at Craven Cottage, I would say. I think away from home, they struggle to get that balance right. But I think at Craven Cottage, they're always such a difficult team to play against. They've got such physical midfielders who like to break up play. They don't make it easy for you, and they're a very organised, very compact team as well. And Marco Silva has got a really good thing going. Although this season, you've got to say they've probably struggled more than any other season. Like, I do wonder, there are question marks. I mean, at the moment, they're just outside the relegation zone. But, I mean, given how the league season is going, there are definitely question marks. Is this the season it all kind of goes wrong? Is it the season that the Fulham bubble bursts? But I think they should be safe, but definitely they don't look as good this season as they maybe have in other seasons. I think it's gone a bit stale. I think there's been a lack of real new additions a lot of the time. The new signings, I think they signed Kevin, Chukwueze. He hasn't trusted them. They haven't really bedded in.
I think Kevin started over the last couple of weeks, and
he was making an adjustment period.
Well, he was making these cameo performances, and I actually liked what I saw from Kevin. I think he's a pretty decent player.
Yeah, I think both of them. Chukwueze, obviously, we know him from Villarreal. He was, quite good on those days. I remember we were talking about, do we want him at Tottenham? He was quite good. In their run to the Champions League semi-final, I remember he played quite well. So that was quite an exciting signing. But look, maybe it's just a bedding in period for him, because at the moment, in terms of starting games, he's definitely preferred Adama Traore, he's preferred Iwobi, he's preferred Harry Wilson as well. Those are the players who he seems to trust a bit more right now. So maybe this game will be different. Maybe this is the game it all flips. And you're right, they've been impressing in cameo performances. And maybe it's just because it's 12 games in, there's a betting in period, new leagues, that kind of stuff. But at the moment, while he's persisting without them, it has just gone a bit stale. They're not the same attacking threat as they have been.
He started the last 4 games now, Kevin.
13 goals in 12 games. They're not scoring.
Yeah, that's their main problem.
The
yeah. And I think even when they're losing games, I don't think they're like getting completely battered in games. I think they are, sticking in there. Their defence is still solid to a certain extent, but obviously away from home, it's not been great, and they've been losing quite a lot of games. You could look at it in the form, the last 5 games, like scored 7, conceded 5. And look at Polar, we've scored 10 and conceded 12 in our last 5 games. So like 9 goals shipped in our last 2 games. That's got to stop. That has got to stop. And look, we have to go in there with an attacking mentality. We got to go for them from the first minute. We just got to build on all the positives that we had in that PSG game, where we looked like an attacking force. We looked like we were playing for the badge. We looked like we had a lot of fight in us, which was a far cry to what we saw in the North London derby and the games leading up to it as well. So if we can take that good feeling, I don't know if good feeling is the right word, because we lost 5-3, but if we can take the kind of good application, maybe I would say, in the PSG game and put it into this game with a few more offensive players surrounding it, then I think we should be okay.
Yeah, I think it's the personality and the intent that we had in that game. You can just see it. Against Arsenal, we were just waiting for them to come to us. We were not getting stuck in. We were not proactive. We were very, very passive, I think it's a word that Frank used. I think that was just very different against PSG. We were very proactive, going after them, trying to force things, in terms of off the ball, pressing them higher, pressing their defenders. And when we did get the ball, it was a lot more intent in our passing. We got players forward. We didn't just not cross the halfway line. We didn't just go long ball all the time. We were playing a few combinations. We were working our way up the pitch. And that's what... And the difference is in this game, it's going to be a different threat, a completely different threat. We're not playing a team who's going to dominate the ball. We're not playing a team has got the technical ability of a PSG. We're not playing a team that's going to be expecting to attack us and expecting to dominate. It's going to be the flip. We're going to be expecting to be the main team. And so it's about whether we have the quality to break them down. Now, the games so far this season, we've really struggled in, like Wolves at home, and some of these teams who have really sat back and just been waiting for us. I think we've lacked real intent. A lot of those games we've played Bentancur and Paulinho together, and we've really lacked intent to really break them down. It's kind of been like, just get out wide, just get crosses in, and attack those in that way. And we need to show a lot more quality, like we did in the Brighton game, like we did in the Copenhagen game. Patience, quality, not rushing things, playing through the centre, trusting the quality of your players to open things up and create moments of quality, like players like Javi. Play a bloody through ball. We haven't played any bloody through balls this season. But I want to see us having more tactics than just get out wide to Kudus, get a cross in, and either create a chance or win a corner. I want to see us have variations of attack. I want to see us have quality on the ball. And that's going to be the true measure going into this game. Because it's all well and good, you know, when you're playing a team like PSG. I know we weren't up for against Arsenal, so it's a great difference from that game. But when you're testing yourselves against the best in Europe, you know, it's not hard to get yourselves up for that kind of game. And it's a different kind of test. And as well, PSG are going to leave all the space for you. So, you know, if you get it right, there will be space. Fulham is a different kettle of fish. And when it comes to real learning curves and where this team is going, these are the real games where you're going to be tested. Like, these are real games where you earn your money, because how often are we going to have games like PSG? Those come in once every 10, 20 games. Those aren't often. These Fulham games, this is how we should be playing 7 or 8 times out of 10.
Week in, week out, yeah, it's still bread and butter.
These are the games that you truly know what you're seeing. So that is why it's such an important game, this one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree.
And for Frank, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that if we do go and win this game convincingly, what's the narrative going to be after the game? Because, you know, a lot of fans, a lot of people going for Frank after the Arsenal game, and rightly so, because, you know, we've all said it, the tactics haven't been brave enough. But he did say pre-PSG in the press conference, or maybe it was post-Arsenal, that, you know, we need to be braver. He admitted that we haven't been brave enough, and we saw that against PSG. The team were braver. And but if we do go and win this game quite convincingly, do you think a lot of fans will be like, oh yeah, but it's just Fulham at home, we should be beating them convincingly? Or do you think people will take something from it and being like, you know what, maybe we were a bit too quick to judge?
Yeah, I think if we win it convincingly with good, you know, showing an ability to, you know, dominate them and create chances, I think people will say, okay, maybe he's onto something. Obviously, look, you will get people who's going to say it's just Fulham at home, and to an extent, it's true. You can't, like, they're 15th in the league. It's not exactly like it's a massive achievement to win the game, but I think at the moment when you're starting a new project, and there's been a lot of difficult moments so far, and in terms of how we've looked so far, what you want if you're going to believe in what you're seeing and believe in a project is kind of improvement on the pitch, and you want to see the team going in a certain direction, and that team has had no sense of direction so far. I think it's fair to say in the league campaign or during the season for a lot of it, we haven't really seen the direction of what is he trying to do, what is he trying to implement. It seems to be the same thing every week. So I think if we see bravery in the selection, an offensive lineup, and we see going at Fulham and dominating and putting risk in the team, and not just being super pragmatic and just hoping for a corner to win the game, then I think people are going to be more on board with it, 100%. And it's going to buy him some time, 100%. And he's going to look. I don't think he's in danger at the moment of getting sacked, but I think that in terms of the patience of the fan base, there was the patience definitely wearing thin after the Arsenal game. We all know that, because that was kind of a culmination of a lot of different things. The football we've been playing, and then the derby, the emotional nature of the derby. But we get a convincing win, good attacking football, and then people get more on board again. But it obviously can't be a one-off. But I think people will be happy with that.
Yeah. This record, though, I'm looking at here in front of my eye, the record against Fulham is nothing short of diabolical, man. Look at that. Is that true? 1 win in our last 5 against Fulham.
Well, that one in August was the penalty. We actually lost on penalties, didn't we? So technically a draw. But yeah, we haven't been great, have we, against Fulham? Even that 1-1 draw, I remember we got a bit lucky in that one as well.
Yeah. I remember the 2-0 when we beat them 2-0. That was Ange's first season.
Yeah, that was quite good.
It was decent, but yeah, it was still a hard win that day, wasn't it? Like, we had to proper fight for that win. Yeah, what is it about Fulham? We just can't get results against them at this moment in time. The last 3 seasons now. Well, this will be the third.
I mean, they play like a mid-block. They're one of these teams where, I mean, in previous seasons anyway, they're obviously not. They're not a team that like. They're like a mid-table team, so they've got good enough quality to not have to be in a low block. They're kind of like in a mid-block. They've got a bit of quality up front, but they're always very organised at the back. So they're just, if you're not on your game, it's one of those games I would say you expect to win, but you're always run the risk of underestimating them because you know it's Fulham at home or even away. They're a mid-table team. This is a game obviously you're going into it thinking you go at them, we win the game, right? It's going to get 3 points. But I think you always run the risk of underestimating a team like Fulham and taking them for granted. I think it's going to be an easy win, and maybe that's the problem we've run into in a lot of these games, just underestimating them. And that's not to say we're saying we have to go at them. I mean, I think it's true. I think this season they are a bit weaker though than they have been. So I think there is cause for it. But I think in previous seasons we've really struggled. We have struggled.
Yeah, but as much as like underestimating them, like doesn't mean we shouldn't be, going at them. We should be stamping our dominance on the game. We're Tottenham Hotspur, we're Europa League champions. I know we finished 17th last season, but man for man, you'd probably say we got better players than them all over the park. And I know Marco Silva's a clever manager, and he's got all these different tactical setups, and he can set up to stifle you. But even with that, at home, we should be asserting our dominance on this Fulham team, no matter how they set up. And we haven't done that against Fulham. We've beaten them once in the last 5 games, so it needs to change, and a lot needs to change. Whether the way we've been playing all season, our recent history against Fulham, there's been so much that needs to change at this football club, and let's hope it starts this weekend. And I don't know, man. I'm quite nervous going into this game. I really am, because I'm just unsure if what we showed against PSG is like a starting block of something new. Is it a culmination of, hard kind of meetings they've had behind the scenes, and we're going to just see more of the same, what we've been seeing in the Premier League this weekend? I don't know. it's so hard to judge it, isn't it?
Well, at the end of the day, we did lose. I know we played well, but we did lose.
Yeah, but we're playing the best team in Europe.
Yeah, but we didn't implode, which is still not a great trait for a team. We did kind of implode in that second half, unfortunately. Albeit we did get a goal. We got a goal after going back to 4-2, but again, even after that, we gave away a penalty. So there's reasons to be to take the positives away from a game like that. But at the end of the day, we did lose 5-3. So I can't even say if we play like that, we're definitely going to win this game. We need to be better than that. We need to show a different side of us as well than we did, because it's not the things that we did well against Fulham, against PSG, that are going to win us a game against Fulham. We have to show different things that we're good at as well. So I think you still have to go into this game with a bit of trepidation. It's hard to know what to expect, what kind of Tottenham team is going to turn up in this game, because at the end of the day, when we've played teams like Fulham who have played in a certain way, we have definitely struggled to break them down, and we've struggled to create many chances, clear-cut chances, big chances. We've resorted to just pumping crosses in the box or hoping Kudus can come up with a moment of magic. It's been very difficult. So whether that can kind of flip in just one game and all of a sudden we become a team that's creating chances at will, is a tough ask. But that's what kind of we're asking for.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying about the PSG game compared to like other games, it's just like in games leading up to the derby and during the derby, it all culminated at the derby, but it's just like players didn't want to look like they wanted to be there. Players looked like they were disinterested and not believing in what the manager was telling him to do. They looked like they lacked any sort of fight, any sort of intent to go forward. And it was just like, what are we actually watching here? At least in the PSG game, yeah, fine, we conceded 5 goals, and that's not good enough. And the defensive mistakes and the mistakes that we did at the back is, yeah, obviously not good enough. And if you do that in any game, you run the risk of losing the game for sure. But those kind of elements in the game need to be a given for us week in, week out, and it just hasn't been. And I think if we show those elements, then you do put yourself in a great position to win any game.
Well, that's the minimum. That should be the minimum from every team. You know what I mean? So matching that shouldn't be something that gets you a win. That should be something that gives you a chance of being competitive in a game.
It's true, but those elements have been vanished from our game for weeks now.
Yes, but even when we did have those elements, we still struggled. Like, you know what I mean? Like, against Wolves, it wasn't because the players weren't running or looked disinterested why we didn't win that, or why we struggled. We struggled because of how we approached that game. We struggled because of how we was set up to attack Wolves, or what we were trying to do. It wasn't working. We weren't showing any quality. So that's my point. Like, yes, it's all well and good upping your game like we did on Wednesday, showing passion, showing bravery, running at players and showing intent. That's fine. And given that we didn't show any of that in the North London derby or against Chelsea, it's a breath of fresh air to have seen it against PSG, and that was a very good thing. But against Fulham, those things aren't going to win you the game. It's about, obviously it's going to help. You need it as well to win the game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that alone. We're going to need to see if Frank can set up the team to open up Fulham and create chances consistently and be dominant while doing it. That is what the aim of the game is, and at the moment we still haven't seen that. Even after Wednesday, that's not what we saw. We saw good elements, but it wasn't that. So that is why I think going into this game, we're still not sure what we're going to see. Is it just going to be a team full of energy but still struggling to break down the opposition, or are we going to be able to finally see a team that's able to play through Fulham and open them up?
If we play a team like what we're suggesting, that shouldn't be an issue.
Correct.
At all. Like, seriously, look how many creators you've got on the pitch there. You've got Kudus and Javi, who are brilliant creators. Behind them, you've got Lucas Bergvall. Backing him up would be brilliant. You've got two strikers on the pitch as well, who seemed like they were, creating some sort of a bit of a synergy together against PSG. So it'll be really, if Frank does go with this lineup, that will be surely him being like, you know what, I've learned from my mistakes of what I've been doing so far this season.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried. I mean, this is obviously a team I hope we go for, and I can see him doing it because I think Wednesday is a bit of evidence he's starting to be a bit braver with his lineups. I'm hoping for, so I'm hoping he's brave in this one. But I am a bit worried. He comes back in and he thinks putting Bentancur and Paulinho back together, and he thinks maybe just throwing in a Xavi Simons is enough. Like, we need to really push the boat out and getting more attacking players into this lineup and get them closer together. I like the idea that he's got two up front and he's maybe finding a way to get more out of Richarlison and maybe more out from one, even by getting them closer together and getting a bit of a partnership going. We'll see if that continues. So you have to, if you're deciding to play a front two like that, obviously you've got to make adjustments around the team. But I think it's a formation we haven't really considered, but it can work. The only worry is, the main worry is, will that get outnumbered in midfield? But if the other players can make adjustments around it, I think it can work. I really think it can work. But it's about being brave. I don't want to see him playing two defensive pivots and in this kind of game. I think we've seen in other games that's really how held us back, and we've struggled to get up the pitch, and we've struggled to play through the middle.
Bentancur, Paulinho, like everyone else you're comfortable with, like, because Gray, Well,
I wouldn't want to see Paulinho and Sarr even in a pivot. I want to see Bergvall or Gray.
Yeah, but at least with Sarr, we know that he can be a really good box-to-box threat, and he can get, provide, a threat on the opposition box. So I have less of a problem with Paulinho and Sarr than I do with Paulinho and Bentancur, because Bentancur, when he's with Paulinho, it just seems like there's no ambition whatsoever. At least with Sarr, when he's on his game, he's a threat at both boxes.
Yeah, look, we've got the quality in this squad, in my opinion. Like, all this, I've said it before, the narrative about, what's Frank meant to do with these players, all this kind of stuff, I think is absolute bollocks. We have quality, and it's about Frank setting us up in a way to get the most out of the quality we got in the team. There is absolutely no reason why players like Xavi, like Bergvall, can't be showing week in, week out how good they are and create chances for us and be part of a team that attacks and shows its quality. And up until now, I think Frank's tactics have been holding us back. I really believe that. And it's about him showing that he can get these players to flourish in this league and in this team and flourish on the pitch and be exciting and be brave on the ball. And that's something we've really generally lacked way too much this season. And I think that's been the main gripe. I think for me is just a lack of ability, a lack of willingness to set up a team to get the best out of these forward players, rather than a team that's just solid defensively and looking to keep the opposition out.
Yeah.
Which is what we heard from some reports. We need to be focusing on our own strengths more than just keeping out the opposition. That's what some of the players feel. And maybe that's what was said after the Arsenal game. You know, we heard those reports, and maybe that's why he's setting up in a different way. He just needs to be braver. He needs to trust the quality we have. It's almost as if the way he's setting up, it's like he's like suggesting, oh, we're not good enough, so we're just going to, you know, work on keeping you out, and whatever we get going forward, we're going to get, whether it be a set piece, whatever. Like, that's no way for a manager of Tottenham Hotspur to be setting up.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. But look, all we can do is hope and pray that the message has got through to Thomas Frank, and he's not stupid. You know what I mean? He would have been watching the games and clearly say it's not good enough. He said it in press conferences already, like, we're not brave enough. We could be showing a bit more ambition, not in those exact words, but let's hope the penny has dropped now and we go into this game, we take the game to the opposition, we create consistent chances throughout the game, and most importantly, win the game as well.
But there's also, if you look tactically, there's been clear evidence that, you know, when we attack, he's purposefully keeping a certain amount of players behind the ball to make sure we're not getting caught out in transition, we're not being counter-attacked. And I understand that, because last season, obviously, we were counter-attacked pretty much every time we lost the ball. So I understand there needs to be a balance. But I think the pendulum is swung way too much.
There needs to be balance. There's no balance.
I think he's trying to bring balance, but there's not enough risk.
No, what I'm saying about balance is balance to attack and defend, and the balance, there hasn't been balance in attack and defend, because if it's like that, it's all been on the defence, right? So there needs to be equal amount of kind of thought put into the way we attack and the way we defend. Now it just seems like there's too much thought on the way we defend.
But I think when he was obviously managing Brentford, that would probably make sense, because to be on the pragmatic side, because he knows that the players are inferior and whatever, or he has a certain way of playing for that side. So keeping a certain amount of players behind you, not caught out, would make sense for a team like Brentford, and that's how he was managing them. But when you're managing a team like Tottenham Hotspur, you need to throw caution to the wind a bit more and trust that your players are good enough to create the chances and not always be counter-attacked and go the other way. And I think at the moment he has to prove that he's capable of doing that. Yeah, that's the proof in what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. There's been a lack of that at the moment, but tomorrow is another occasion he has to prove it. And as well, the home form just can't carry on. One win since August, which was the beginning of the season, against Burnley, who are currently 19th in the league. Didn't even beat Wolves, who are 20th in the league at the moment at home, which is an embarrassment in itself. The home form is where home form is where you're going to lose fans, because that's where the majority of fans are, 60,000 fans, and you know, if they keep going home disgruntled, it's only going to go one way. So we have to just start winning games at home. We have to. That's just reality. I
mean, we had the conversation out in Paris, didn't we? I think you asked the question, like, I think you asked it or someone else asked it.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like, if we had the away form at home and the home form away, would that be more palatable?
In a weird way, probably, yeah. But I think there'll be less angry fans, I think, because most fans are going home happy at the end of the day, whereas away fans, obviously they're the more hardcore ones, but at the end of the day, there's only 2,000-3,000 of them. So that's a lot less fans to keep. But
your bread and butter should be at home. Like, you know, we've always been a decent home side. I know over the last couple of years it's been, you know, nothing short shocking, to be honest. What was it, like 3 or 4 wins in the last calendar year at home? It's just mad to think about.
Yeah.
It's just mad. So that needs to change. You need to build your base and you need to come a hard proposition. We want teams to know they're in a game when they're coming to Tottenham Hotspur, and that just hasn't happened over the last year or so.
Yeah.
So once we build this ground into being a solid base and teams actually fear coming here, then we know we're onto something. But right now, you know, Frank has got a lot to prove. That's the reality, and let's hope it starts this weekend.
On the flip side, if we don't get the result, it's going to be...
Don't even want to think about that.
God, I can't think about our toxic. Now, obviously, I've always said I'm much more... in the start of a project like for Frank, I'm much more focused on performances than I am results, which is why the main reason I'm not happy. But if we create loads of chances and we're just missing them, we get unlucky, I'll have to reserve judgment for what I actually see. But I'm willing to not give him a pass. But if we have a good performance and don't win, I'm not going to get on his back too much. I'm sure everyone else will, but I personally won't. But if it's another performance where we're struggling, the XG is under 1 and we're struggling to create chances and we're still being too pragmatic, then I'll rightfully get on his back tomorrow.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, look, like you're saying, if we lose 1-0, but like we've got like over 2 XG and we've conceded like under 1 XG, I'm sure you'll be able to take that. But if it's another 0.05 or 0.10 or 0.10, whatever it is, like if it's really low and we put in a really poor performance, it's going to be only right for fans to get on the team's back and the players back, because it won't be good enough.
And the problem is, then you got Wednesday's Newcastle away. That could be a very difficult game at St James's. And so all of a sudden, he could potentially have a must-win game against Brentford, against his former club.
Yeah.
That could potentially be his last game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's
not
doomsday
talk about
scenarios.
Look, forget about that scenario. It's going to be a good scenario this weekend. We're going to take the game to Fulham. We're going to create chances. We're going to put the ball in the back of the net, and we're going to win the game. It's just got to happen. It's got to happen.
To be honest, even if we lose the next 3, I still think they give him time, but he's going to be on
thin ice.
Yeah, he's going to be on very thin ice. But I think, as I said, I just think this hierarchy are going to give it as much time as possible.
We don't know. We don't know what this hierarchy do.
We don't know, but I'm just theorising. I think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do anything too hasty. I think they're going to show they're a bit of an antidote to Levy. I think they've obviously they're a bit. I think they were obviously. I know Levy was part of the appointing process, but I think they were a big part of it as well. They're not going to want their first appointment to go down in as a massive failure, having been sacked within, with not even half the season gone.
I don't even think they'll count this as their first appointment. I think the next appointment will be their first appointment.
I count it as their first appointment.
Why?
Why? Because they were a massive part of the process of hiring him.
Who? What? The Lewis family? Who are you talking about?
The
Lewis family. Were they?
The hierarchy, yeah. What do you mean, Vinay and Lange? And
Vinay was, yeah.
Yeah, that's who the hierarchy have appointed to be in charge.
I thought you were talking about the Lewis family, yeah.
Well, the Lewis family hired were part of Vinay and Lange, hiring them.
Were they? I thought it was just Levy's guys. I don't know.
Look, this whole hierarchy is the Lewis family's thing. Look, Levy must have been on his way out. I know Levy's appointed it, but I'm sure the Lewis family are part of those discussions. I don't think it's all Levy.
I mean,
you can't see up until the last day it's only Levy and nothing to do with the Lewis family.
I mean, we didn't hear anything about the Lewis family until Levy left.
We heard a lot about Levy leaving, though, so they must have been involved.
Maybe, but I mean, we literally didn't even hear of Vivian or Charlie or any of them until Levy left. Like they never showed their faces. They barely come into games. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe because I would have thought if the Lewis family were involved, maybe Levy would have an inkling that he was going to leave. We were told he was going like it was daily business, and he had no clue that he was going to leave. If
the Lewis family don't consider this their appointment, then I think it could be gone very quickly. But I do feel like it's their first appointment.
Maybe.
That's my opinion.
But at the end of the day, we just need to show something very different to what we've shown all season in the Premier League, or very much in the last few months anyway, because it's been nothing short of diabolical. And I'm backing the team to do so. I'm backing Thomas Frank to do so. And we're going to get the 3 points, people. Everyone show a bit of calm, a bit of patience, and you'll see hopefully some full throttle football on the weekend.